Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, representing Borno South. Mr. President, my motion is simple and straightforward, and I'm sure maybe one or two of us that have tried ride on railway from Abuja to Kaduna must have experienced that. Before I read out the motion, Mr. President, let me tell you my experience. When I decided to travel to Kaduna, for safety reasons, for what is happening these days rampantly, I decided to send for a ticket. And the first class ticket is selling for 3,000. And the ordinary couch is selling for 1,500. But I couldn't get either of the two. So they gave me a ticket and they wrote STD on it. STD. So I thought that one is standard. So when I went there, I collected they said they couldn't get the first class and the other coach. It's only STD. I didn't know that the STD means standing. So when I went in and I was asking the workers, where is the standard coach? They said there is no standard coach. I said, no, I have standard ticket here for standard coach. And the man looked at it and said, distinguished senator, you have to stand. It's standard. Your ticket is for standard. For standing. So I went in there to stand for 2 hours from Abuja to Kaduna. And then somebody recognized me there. He said, distinguished senator, look at what we are going through. The people that are standing in the ordinary coach. And one other thing, Mr. President, is that you can't stand in the first class coach. So you have to use, even if you are standing, you have to stand in the ordinary coach. So we had more people standing than the ones sitting on that train that day. We all know what's going on our road from Kaduna from Abuja to Kaduna, vice versa. And therefore, Mr. President, this motion is simply to urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to increase the number of coaches so that they will be able to take more passengers and therefore have ordinary passengers sit down. Having said that, Mr. President, as I said, let me go ahead to read the motion. Or the prayer. No, the motion first. The motion is on the urgent need to increase the number of coaches to the Abuja Kaduna Rail Line. The Senate notes with concern the undue pressure on existing facilities at the Abuja Kaduna Railway Line, notes that most passengers en route Abuja Kaduna have to turn to the railway as a safer means of transportation. Aware that the surge in the patronage of rail services may have been attributed to its safety, comfort, convenience, and perhaps affordability, which have drawn many commuters following the high risk on Abuja-Kaduna Expressway that is threatened by kidnappers, armed robbers, and other kinds of criminals. Aware also that this has led to rowdiness during ticket purchase and survival of the fittest for passengers willing to buy tickets across the counter as officials deliberately hoard and sold tickets to the highest bidders. Observes that the daily schedule of Abuja Kaduna from Monday to Saturday are 7 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m., except for Wednesdays with only 2 trips at 7 and 6 p.m. Aware that the huge number of travelers jostled for tickets sold at 1,500 after queuing for about 2 or more hours to enable them stand for 2 hours on the trip, like my experience. Notes that every good thing usually faces its share of challenges. What the rail transit, that is Abuja Kaduna, is faced with is shortage in the number of available coaches, which explains the long queues recorded at the station. Worried that Nigerians willing to use these services are now meant to queue for hours before boarding due to increase in demand. And also, Mr. President, shows the concern that worldwide railway transportation is meant for the poor. But unfortunately in this case, and that's why I have the second prayer, the cost of railway, as I said, from Abuja to Kaduna is 1,500. That is double the price of road transport fare from Abuja to Kaduna, because if you are going by road, it costs 700 to maximum of 1,000 from Abuja to Kaduna. And this railway is supposed to is supposed to serve more of the poor than the elite. And that's why if you go to this railway station, you don't see the poor there because they cannot afford it. It is therefore important to look at the price so that the poor can afford to use the rails. Accordingly, resolves to urge the federal government or the Nigerian Railway Corporation to deploy more coaches to Abuja Kaduna Rail Line to ameliorate the plight of the passengers. And secondly, urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to reduce the fare from the 1,500 to 600 to make it available for the poor, to the poor and general public. I so move. My distinguished colleagues, as I said, this is a very straightforward and important motion, and I hope that it will unanimously receive the required support from my colleagues. Thank you.